Good morning. I'm ACQUAH CEPHAS and I welcome you to my channel. Hope you are doing well. Today we will be talking about Steve Biko. Bantu Stephen Biko was a South African anti-apartheid activist. Ideologically an African nationalist and African socialist, he was at the forefront of a grassroots anti-apartheid campaign known as the Black Consciousness Movement during the late 1960s and 1970s. His ideas were articulated in a series of articles published under the pseudonym Frank Talk. He was beaten to death by state security officers in 1977. Raised in a poor Xhosa family, Biko grew up in Ginsberg Township in the Eastern Cape. In 1966, he began studying medicine at the University of Natal, became strongly opposed to the apartheid system of racial segregation and white minority rule in South Africa, and joined the National Union of South African Students, NUSAS. Biko was frustrated that NUSAS and other anti-apartheid groups were dominated by white liberals, who he felt were well-intentioned, but failed to comprehend black experience, and often acted in a paternalistic manner. He became a leading figure in the creation of the South African Students' Organization, SASO, in 1968. Membership was open only to blacks, a term that Biko used in reference not just to Bantu-speaking Africans, but also to colored and Indians. The white minority National Party government were initially supportive, seeing SASO's creation as validation of their ethos of racial separatism. Although Biko was careful to keep his movement independent of white liberals, he strongly opposed anti-white racism, and had many white friends, including lovers. Influenced by the Martinican philosopher Frantz Fanon and the African-American Black Power movement, Biko and his compatriots developed black consciousness as SASO's official ideology. The movement campaigned for an end to apartheid and the transition of South Africa toward universal suffrage and a socialist economy. Bantu Stephen Biko was born on the 18th of December 1946, at his grandmother's house in Tarkastad, Eastern Cape. The third child of Mzinge Matthew Biko and Alice Mamson Biko, he had an older sister, Bukelwa, an older brother, Kea, and a younger sister, Nabando. His parents had married in Woodlesia, where his father worked as a police officer. Mzinge was transferred to Queenstown, Port Elizabeth, Fort Cox, and finally King Williamstown, where he and Alice settled in Ginsberg Township. This was a settlement of around 800 families, with every 4 families sharing a water supply and toilet. Both Bantu African and colored people lived in the township, where Xhosa, Afrikaans, and English were all spoken. After resigning from the police force, Mzinge worked as a clerk in the King Williamstown Native Affairs Office, while studying for a law degree by correspondence from the University of South Africa. Alice was employed first in domestic work for local white households, then as a cook at Grey Hospital in King Williamstown. According to his sister, it was this observation of his mother's difficult working conditions that resulted in Biko's earliest politicization. Biko is viewed as the father of the Black Consciousness Movement and the anti-apartheid movement's first icon. Nelson Mandela called him the spark that lit a wildfire across South Africa, adding that the nationalist government had to kill him to prolong the life of apartheid. Opening an anthology of his work in 2008, Manning Marable and Peniel Joseph wrote that his death had created a vivid symbol of black resistance to apartheid that continues to inspire new black activists over a decade after the transition to majority rule. It organized black community programs, BCPS, and focused on the psychological empowerment of black people. Biko believed that black people needed to rid themselves of any sense of racial inferiority, an idea he expressed by popularizing the slogan "Black is Beautiful." In 1972, he was involved in founding the Black People's Convention, BPC, to promote black consciousness ideas among the wider population. The government came to see Biko as a subversive threat and placed him under a banning order in 1973, severely restricting his activities. He remained politically active, helping organize BCPS such as a healthcare center and a crèche in the Ginsberg area. During his ban he received repeated anonymous threats, and was detained by state security services on several occasions. Following an arrest in August 1977, Biko died of massive brain trauma after being severely beaten during interrogation, and transferred over 700 miles to a hospital manacled and naked in the back of a Land Rover. He was the 46th South African political prisoner to die after interrogation since 1963. Over 20,000 people attended his funeral. Biko's fame spread posthumously. He became the subject of numerous songs and works of art, while a 1978 biography by his friend Donald Woods formed the basis for the 1987 film Cry Freedom. During Biko's life, the government alleged that he hated whites, various anti-apartheid activists accused him of sexism, and African racial nationalists criticized his united front with coloreds and Indians. Nonetheless, Biko became one of the earliest icons of the movement against apartheid, and is regarded as a political martyr and the father of black consciousness. His political legacy remains a matter of contention. Also in September 1997, Biko's family established the Steve Biko Foundation. The Ford Foundation donated money to the group to establish a Steve Biko Center in Ginsburg, opened in 2012. The foundation launched its annual Steve Biko Memorial Lecture in 2000, each given by a prominent black intellectual. The first speaker was Njabula Ndebele. Later speakers included Zaxmga, Chinua Achebe, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and Mandela. Buildings, institutes and public spaces around the world have been named after Biko, such as the Steve Biko Plan in Amsterdam. In 2008, the Pretoria Academic Hospital was renamed the Steve Biko Hospital. The University of the Witwatersrand has a Steve Biko Center for Bioethics. In Salvador, Bahia, a Steve Biko Institute was established to promote educational attainment among poor Afro-Brazilians. In 2012, the Google Cultural Institute published an online archive containing documents and photographs owned by the Steve Biko Foundation. On the 18th of December 2016, Google marked what would have been Biko's 70th birthday with a Google Doodle. Please let me know if you enjoyed this episode in the comments section. Subscribe to my channel.